So do you remember about, I don't know, a couple of months ago? Well, it wasn't even a couple months ago. It was 8 months ago. Wow, the trade deadline was 8 months ago. I can't believe it because we're still in the playoffs and the NBA Finals is currently going on. But do you remember 8 months ago when the trade deadline was going on, D'Angelo Russell got traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And at the time, the top rumor was, hey, D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns are like BFFs, and you know who else is a really close friend of theirs? Devin Booker. So it's only a matter of time before Devin Booker eventually gets traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that was everyone's favorite narrative at the time. Everyone just took that and just ran away with it. But I think they're forgetting another very interesting narrative that a lot of people are not paying attention to, and it's another BFF of D'Angelo Russell's from high school. And we're going to get to this in just a second because this trade rumor is absolutely insane. So what's going on, guys? I announced a brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. This time it's on Instagram. I saw a lot of comments saying, could you do an Instagram giveaway? Because I don't have Twitter. So I listened to you guys. Brand new PS5 giveaway. We announced the previous giveaway winner earlier today. So congratulations to him. And of course, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe and turn on my notifications to help the channel grow and for the YouTube algorithm. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, like I was saying in the introduction, which some of you guys are either going to love or hate, is the fact that D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns are really good friends, going all the way back to their high school years. But another player that D'Angelo Russell was really good friends with and is very familiar with is Ben Simmons. Yes, Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell both played their high school ball at Montverde Academy. From my perception of things, it seems like Ben Simmons did a lot of the playmaking, D'Angelo Russell did a lot of the scoring, and for the most part, they got along very well. Well, this kind of fueled a very interesting trade rumor because, as you guys may know, the Minnesota Timberwolves currently own the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft. And when they won the lottery, everybody was assuming that they were going to just take Anthony Edwards with the #1 overall pick. He fits in fairly well with D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns, and that would be a nice trio for him to grow alongside with. But the fact of the matter remains that every single time a #1 overall pick or a high draft pick goes into a situation where he's expected to contribute immediately to a championship team, it doesn't give him a lot of opportunity to develop as a player. Even furthermore, out of nowhere, I think due to his brilliant marketing team, because he did this with Lonzo, Lamelo Ball is starting to surge up draft boards. A lot of people are saying that he might be this year's #1 overall pick, and I could kind of see that just based off of his brand in of itself. Probably the best home run that you could hit from this NBA draft, arguably, is drafting Lamelo Ball with the #1 overall pick and having him fulfill his potential. With that being said, the Minnesota Timberwolves don't really need Lamelo Ball. He doesn't really fit in with them whatsoever. And meanwhile, if you go to Philadelphia, there's another issue at the surface. It's the fact that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are a little bit of an awkward fit. So here's the rumor, and originally I was ignoring the hell out of this rumor because a lot of sketchy websites were posting it, and I don't like bringing you rumors that are from sketchy websites. And again, this is just a rumor. I'm just bringing it to your attention because sometimes these rumors come true, and it's kind of nice to see it from the very beginning and follow it from the very beginning until it gets done. So here's a storyline that you guys may want to follow. Apparently, after getting hired by the Philadelphia 76ers, Doc Rivers is going to try and trade Ben Simmons to Minnesota for the #1 overall pick and take Lamelo Ball in Philly. Now, I'm going to tell you why this makes sense and why it doesn't, and why it could be real and why it could be BS. So the reason why it makes sense is because with this move, Doc Rivers, 1, gets a very talented or potentially extremely talented player, 2, clearly breaks up a core that just isn't working, and 3, clears up a bunch of cap space, like a ridiculous amount of cap space, because he doesn't have to pay Ben Simmons' contract extension anymore, and instead of paying a player $30 million next year, you get to bring in a rookie that you get to instruct and groom yourself and only pay him about $6 million next year. That in of itself, in terms of solving the cap space issues that the Philadelphia 76ers have, might make a lot of sense. It makes sense on the Timberwolves end, because if I was the Timberwolves, I would much rather have a player that clearly could handle the ball handling duties, clearly thrives in the Minnesota Timberwolves offensive system, which is a team that tries to push the pace as much as possible. Bear in mind that the Timberwolves finished 4th in pace this year in the entire NBA. And D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns will be very happy to welcome Ben Simmons into the fold, because again, there's some familiarity there. Without a doubt, this will probably be the most promising team Minnesota has ever had. I think ever since the Kevin Garnett years, probably in the past 20-something years. But unfortunately, as cute of a story this makes, and as interesting as this rumor might be, there's a bunch of stuff that's just making me raise my eyebrows at this entire situation. The first is the source for this, like I said in the beginning of the video, is a little sketchy. You see, Rashad Phillips is the original person that tweeted out this rumor, and it started blowing up on social media because, again, news outlets will love to take a potential trade and run away with it. But you might be thinking, okay, Mike, what's the big deal about Rashad Phillips? Well, Rashad Phillips went to college with Jermaine Jackson, who's LaMelo Ball's manager. So this could all just be a ploy to just boost LaMelo Ball's draft stock to the #1 overall pick. But even if you decide to neglect how sketchy this source is, there's one thing that I think just throws a huge hole into this theory and just completely obliterates any chance of this being a realistic trade whatsoever. And that's the fact that Doc Rivers was literally hired on October 1st, yesterday at the time that I'm making this video. And the Sixers literally said at the moment that Doc Rivers was hired as a head coach that he's just going to be that. He's only going to be a head coach. And on the Clippers, he was in charge of being a head coach and a general manager. He was in charge of trading for players and re-signing players and all of that stuff. But now that he's on the Philadelphia 76ers, his role is very similar to the one that he had with the Boston Celtics. He's just going to focus on coaching. He's not going to focus so much on the aspect of bringing in talent, acquiring new talent, and all of that, because they have someone else ruining that for the Sixers, Elton Brand. And to be frank, I don't know if Elton Brand is savvy enough to make such a move, because he's already taken some risks in the past, and they completely blew up in his face. Trading Markelle Fultz for a jar of peanuts, believe it or not, didn't work. Trading multiple assets for Jimmy Butler only to have him walk away didn't work either. Trading for Tobias Harris in the short term worked, but he ended up overpaying him. And when Jimmy Butler walked away, he decided to pay a player that was past his prime, that didn't fit into the system at all whatsoever, a maximum contract to stay with the Sixers. And when all of that failed, instead of holding himself accountable for the roster, the way he built the roster and gutted out the roster and cashed in on the assets in just a truly horrific way, he decided to fire Brett Brown. So before I tell you what I think the likelihood of this trade happening is, I want you to let me know out of 10, with 1 out of 10 being the lowest chance of this happening and a 10 out of 10 being something that Shams Charania is about to tweet out within the hour. How likely do you think this trade is to happen? So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to comment, and I'm going to give you my opinion. And I think this probably has like a 3 out of 10 chance of happening. It makes a lot of sense, but I can't help but feel like it's a gigantic marketing ploy. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think, because this isn't the first time the Sixers were involved in a rumor. Aside from that, I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.